Start coming up.
Say hello to the nice gentleman.
One more. The actual process started when we were in the post-production process for Saw. And Lee and I were trying to think up an idea for our next film.
The way James and I write is to just take everything but the kitchen sink and just throw it all into a pot and then throw the kitchen sink in.
And action!
When we met with James, he had a very clear vision of what he wanted to present.
We push into the two actors.
He's extremely creative and paints with ideas and emotions.
The vision that he has, I don't think I've ever seen before, you know, in any other film.
So the idea here is to make a film that is really macabre and creepy. That was our aim, to write a story that was just really out there.
Our family killed him. But she didn't stay dead.
How does it look on your camera? Can we play that back?
The script caught me immediately because of the fact that this was not a gory horror picture.
It's not just a horror film in the sense of like, you know, slasher, monsters.
It was definitely the ghost story and the classic horror elements.
They pay homage to all kinds of filmmakers, you know, from David Lynch to Mario Bava.
That was definitely our aim from the very get-go, you know, was to make a film that we love, you know, like that came out of the 50s and the 60s.
I grew up with those films, and so when you have a chance to actually kind of be in one of those worlds, it's really cool.
He wants to make a very creepy ghost story. I mean, he wants to make a movie that people remember.
Beware the stare, Mary Shaw.
It's an old school story, you know, it's an old-fashioned ghost story, so therefore it needs a much more classical approach in the overall aesthetic. I want my camera angle to be doing this because this looks so dangerous.
He wanted to be simple, old-fashioned. Fog, being scared what's underneath the bed, someone grabbing you through a curtain, like simple scare tactics.
That was poetry, man.
It was poetry in motion.
James had always wanted to do a film in that style, that very sort of artfully done, beautiful horror film.
He didn't want to make it super high-tech, like the old haunted houses.
I believe that the lighting and the camera work is very instrumental in achieving that classical style of filmmaking.
Silence is a metaphor for me for darkness, for black. Silence is a pretty scary thing. Blackness is a scary thing.
Yeah, the first time I met John, I mean, we just basically hit off.
Flipped.
See the mood up there, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, definitely, John.
He really understood a lot of the things that I was trying to go for, so that really made my job very easy.
There's something interesting about light moving. It's unsettling.
He's taught me a lot on this film, and that's what I look for in my cinematographer. You know, someone who's here to show me stuff that I don't already know.
That's a pretty wicked shot,
That is a wicked shot.
Julie basically gave us the palette to shoot with the textures, neutrals and browns, and really allowing one color specifically, which James loves, which is red.
When John and James came up with the lighting technique, they used a lot of blue filter, and so I was then inclined to use a brighter red because James wanted a predominant red feeling throughout this film. It was a combination of something Tim Burton-esque meets Victorian meets James Wan.
I was shooting 4 sets at the same time. I was very lucky to get these people on board very early on.
We worked very closely with the art department, you know, looking at their blueprints and sketches and talking to James and figuring out how we want the look of the theater to be.
One of the first goals that James sat down and discussed with all of us was that the scale of the theater had to match what his vision was.
In this film, we have a derelict old theater on an island, on a lake, in a quarry, in the middle of nowhere. And back in the 1940s, we're not here to be subtle. We love the things that is in your face.
That's enough!
Henry tells Jamie the story of the glory days of the theater when Mary Shaw was alive, and there's a flashback sequence where we see all the people coming into the quarry, and they cross the bridge and they go over to the theater.
The quarry is actually a very, very picturesque location. At first, we all set out with the plan, let's build a theater out there.
We didn't have quite the budget to build it from scratch, but we still wanted it to be amazing.
We only built about 20% of the set. The rest of that set will be taken over by the visual effects guys.
You know, it's a big set extension, set piece. The entire Guignol Theater is a CG construction that we've kind of built in 3D and composited that into the shots.
Basically, we had to create the beautiful theater, and then we wrecked it in 5 days.
We'll be creating a 35-story theater, widening it out, adding columns on the side, and really dressing it up to create kind of this really grand piece of architecture that wasn't actually there.
On the set, we've got mummified children and dolls and meat puppets, eyeballs and things in jars, graveyards and lightning doors that creak. All the touchstones of horror in this one.
For a film this size, we do have quite a number of visual effects shots.
We always work very much in tandem with practical effects and stunts to try and get the best elements that we can to work with.
James really wanted to do everything old school, not a lot of CGI. Put a lot of pressure on us to get the look that he wanted. James actually looked at the fog as a character.
Fog, for example, that's the toughest thing to control because when you're there on the day, if you have a strong breeze, you're not going to have a lot of fog.
We were down in the Elora Gorge, and we were trying to create a fog, like London fog on the ocean kind of look, and I can hear James's voice echoing across saying, "Make the smoke go slower."
We're seeing an empty plate, and Aaron here's going to put a CGI.
Here we're shooting elements of dry ice and fog for some of the scenes where we're adding fog. A lot of the scenes at the theater, we did practical fog and smoke on set. Sometimes there was a lot, sometimes there was a little, so we're just going to shoot these elements and then we can add the elements into the shots digitally and make them all kind of match up and give James the nice, you know, eerie, smoky, foggy feeling that he's looking for.
There are some elements in our film that require the help of visual effects. However, it was always our intent that we didn't want it to be this screen filled with, you know, CG shots.
This shot that we set up yesterday of the hanging of Donnie really could have been done almost solely in visual effects.
We had it down to dropping Donnie Wahlberg from a height of about 35 feet right to the deck, where his face was literally an inch from the floor.
2, 1.
I've probably been overtraining for my stunt. You know, there's one great stunt for me in the film. So in this great battle between puppets and humans, I think it's clear that the puppets won.
Yeah, I mean, both Donnie and myself have been up on the high wire. They've all rigged up in the harness and falling. I love all that stuff. You know, I'm not afraid of heights.
Have fun, man.
Donnie was just like, it's a great ride.
So when you do it with professionals, it is really cool. There's a moment in every script when you say, how are they going to do that? And in this case, it was the wall of dolls.
We were lucky enough that designers found some ventriloquist dolls. They bought a bunch of them, and we basically modified them. So Damon over here actually sculpted all the little prosthetics. We built these little prosthetics to glue on and to make them look different than the original ones. And Chris mechanized about 20 of them for the eyes to move and the heads to move, and then the rest of them, it was only a head movement. That pretty much took the whole first month of our prep time. It's a little daunting when you actually have 80 of them in the shop. That was his nightmare.
The real dummy is officially being called to the set for the first time. We'll go with this one first.
And I walk away.
Yeah.
James knows how to shoot, where when you think you know exactly what's happening, nothing is as it appears to be.
Bob came in and started to think about the character from the point of view of a dummy.
Everyone tells me it's a likeness, so I guess I have to live with it. What I'm looking to try and provide are some of those head-slapping moments at the end where you say, oh, of course, I see why he didn't blink a lot.
It's unbelievable, that model of Bob. One of the scariest things I've ever seen as far as costume prosthetics.
And it's kind of an interesting process. I was dressed in a full-body leotard and then smeared with Vaseline. I have to tell you, a lot of interesting and unquotable jokes went back and forth between us.
What was nice about his is that he's got a very interesting face. It really, really added to the prosthetic.
Everyone has remarked that this likeness is so startling because the eyes just jump out at you. It's a good reminder of mortality. It really is creepy, but to see the whole entity, I never realized what a big guy I am and what a great honker I have. Oh, did you clip the nose hairs?
And I think a lot of people are scared of silence. So that's why they come in their house and they turn on the TV instantly. That quietness is what people find so frightening.
When you can have the audience feeling like there's something out there that they can't see, that's scary, you know?
Anybody who's an aficionado of horror knows to look always right in front of your face first. Okay, we do that, and then where do we go from there? And I think that's the trick in this one.
This film has been, from day one, a throwback to the old horror genre.
It's really just a lot of the things we love put into one film.
For you to be original, you kind of have to hark back to what they used to make, but having said that, you don't want to, recycle what's been done, so you want to give it a different edge.
He's very secure in the fact that he knows what buttons push people, and you just realize that he's usually spot on.
The fog-bound lake, the Gothic Victorian house, and, like cars driving through the woods, backlighting the trees. All that sort of stuff is fun for a director to play with,
The Tale of Mary Shaw.
Beware the stare of Mary Shaw.
She had no children, only dolls.
And if you see her in your dreams,
be sure you never, ever scream.
If she finds you, remember this.
There's only one thing that can save you.
Silence.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be astounded. Prepare to be amazed. Witness Mary Shaw give life to the boy made of wood.
The Tale of Mary Shaw is really a story that we just cooked up. We wanted to make an old-fashioned ghost story, but playing with the theme of ventriloquism.
Now, who's the dummy?
You've got this legend, the long-dead ventriloquist who, if you scream, steals your tongue and all that.
She's the classic town ghost story, even when she was alive.
The sort of legend and the reality start to combine.
Oh, she's really a wonderful, mysterious lady.
She grew up without any friends or anyone around her, and her children and her friends were her dolls.
The Ashen family slit her throat. She responds to that with revenge.
As with all good ghost stories, after Mary Shaw is killed, she actually comes back from the grave.
to exact her revenges by using human bodies. It's creepy.
We saw a lot of women, and it was really needed a combination of classic, creepy, witch-like, ghosty look, but someone who could pull off the air of a diva. And we looked at a lot of people in Los Angeles and, never really felt we had it, and one day looked at each other and said, why aren't we looking at, like, the grand dams of Broadway? Why aren't we going to that huge theatrical stage-like presence? And we sort of expanded the search into New York, and literally the first day of auditions, Judith walked in and we knew that we had found Mary.
I can't see anyone else doing that role. She's got a fantastic voice, and she uses her eyes like no one I've ever worked with. She can scare you with a look. It's very intense.
You there. Could you check under your seat for me?
This scene, it'll freak people out. And there's nothing going on. It's just a dummy and a crowd of people with young Henry.
It's the split personality quality about ventriloquism that kind of gives it that edge.
There's something so mysterious.
What we're trying to get used to is getting Mary, or Judith, the actress, used to moving the different parts.
There are certain things. You never really close your mouth. It moves in here.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Want to see my tooth I thought? No, they don't.
Whether I would be able to be the best ventriloquist in the world would take many, many moons. It's fascinating, and it was like raw and very exciting those days in the theater. When the ventriloquist was with us, he was able to do the moves, do the things, do stuff, and be part of it. But the bonding that can happen in something like that is what's important. My relationship with this creature is what's really important. He's truly alive for me. Silence.
We're actually doing the Mary Shaw makeup right now. We require 3 hours for our part of it, and then everybody else needs about an hour, you know, wardrobe and hair and everything. So it's approximately 4-hour process.
She's such a trooper to go through that makeup process and then just have her come on set and yet be able to play with it. Oh, it's just fantastic.
That's really fun. I mean, I've become bonded to Francois. It's been terrific. It's not easy stuff, but my skin's holding up well. The makeup, in a way, on some levels helps you. Very sure.
James wanted something very specific on that makeup, which was the peeling skin, almost like the peeling paint from all the other elements and all that. Cracked skin to basically getting rid of all that stuff.
And then when I come back after the curlers go in to see what gets painted and how that really brings it alive, the different stages are really fascinating. Very few people, actors, probably get a chance ever to do anything like this.
This is Mary's living quarters, 1941. Now we're turning into present day. So basically, we need to stress it for up to 60 years. Window treatments, I want them ripped up, holes in them, and then some of them pulled actually off. Maybe there's a bunch of debris in the tub, leaves and all that kind of stuff. As soon as they cobweb all this, it'll look almost, it's like entombing her living quarters and her life. On this set, James wanted to do this illusion wall effect, and in order to do it properly, we had to use vertical wallpaper. If you look at this wall straight on, the stripes create an illusion that it's one solid wall. But in fact, if you shift to the right or to the left, there's a gap back here for the discovery of the doll room.
Maybe.
So this is like her makeup table where she would prepare her makeup every night. So we wanted just elements of her childhood, elements of each show she's performed in. This mirror is going to become an element to reflect the dead Mary in the chair over there.
Action!
The Mary Shaw character, she is a wonderful woman, but absolutely terrifying. Her coming out of the darkness at you is something that's kept me awake at night.
Mary Shaw must have felt that extreme pain in silence. That's why everybody else is going to have to be punished that way.
There is some truth to the legend of Mary Shaw.
So she's a creative, mysterious, murderous lady.
She's the puppet master in this movie, really.
Who's the dummy?
Something's not right, everything's odd. You know something bad's gonna happen.
The Haunter is still the star of the show, and we wanted to optimize those scares as much as we can.
Silence.
It's the storm. It's just the storm. I'm right here. It'll all be over in the morning.
I can't sleep.
Yes, you can. I know you can.
I can't sleep unless you tell me a story.
You want a story?
Yeah, a scary story.
I see. I don't know about that. You might have nightmares and wake up screaming.
No, I won't. I swear I won't.
Well, I hope not. Because screaming is the last thing you'd ever want to do.
Why?
Because Mary Shaw might hear you.
Who's Mary Shaw?
What? You've never heard of Mary Shaw? You've never heard the story? Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. And if you see her in your dreams, be sure you never, ever scream.
What if I do?
Well, don't.
But what if I do?
Well, if you ever see her, if ever she finds you, remember this. There's only one thing that can save you.
What's that, Mother?
Silence.
Dad?
Oh! We have at least one thing in common, Jamie. We both know the pain that comes with burying a wife. Jamie!
It's soup. Delicious, too.
I'll vouch for that. Hello, Jamie. I don't know what to say, except that I'm sorry for your loss. I've heard Lisa's funeral is in Ravens Fair. I hope you'll come see me. It's important during times like these to be with family.
Ella? Is that you?
You silly child. There is no more Ella.
In the beginning, it was the same old screaming and yelling. You do what I say. Even put her in hospital one time. After that, nothing. Silence.
What's going on?
You were right, Jamie.
I live inside my doll.
Get me out of here! Ella, no! Get me out of here!
I gave you a chance.
All
you had to do was be a
Good boy.
Not like this.
But you couldn't.
It doesn't matter. We can still be a happy family.
Smile,
Jamie.
Beware the stare of Mary Shaw. She had no children, only dolls. And if you see her in your dreams, be sure you never, ever scream.
you see her, if she finds you, remember this. There's only one thing that can save you.
What's that, Mother?
Silence.
Hey, boss. It's been a while.
Yep, it has.
It's good to see you still working here.
Yep. Patrolling the grounds. Keeping them safe.
Open the damn gates, boss.
Maybe you want to come back in a little while, Jamie, when you've had a chance to cool
Look,
off.
just open the gates.
She's right, you know. She changed him.
How would you know? Huh? And that bastard's never even let you step foot in the house.
Because of God he is. In the beginning, it was the same old screaming and yelling. And he even put her in the hospital one time. But after that, nothing. Silence.
What a saint. I don't believe it for a second.
Just thought you should know, that's all.
Hey, do yourself a favor, boss. Go into the house one night. And when you do, look him in the eyes. You'll see. Nothing's changed.
Came into the house. I looked him in the eye.
I'm so sorry.